Hey everyone, welcome to the channel for another Escape from Tarkov video. In this one, I'm going to show you 3 more budget weapon builds, but this one has more of an emphasis on the budget part of that equation. My last budget builds videos looked at maximizing the performance of common weapons for minimal cost, but this one is aimed at showing a few really basic weapon setups, some of which you can put together from level 1 traders. Because these are pretty basic weapon builds, I've gone ahead and put a few extra ones into this video as well. If you want an overview of the best ammo to use with these weapons, I'll put a link to my ammo guide in the description. But without any further delay, let's take a look at some cheap weapon builds. The first weapon I want to take a look at is the Vepr KM-136, a semi-auto 7.62 by 39 AK platform rifle that's one of the earliest you can buy and also a very common drop from scavs. Skier level 1 will also trade you this rifle for 3 horse statues. Most low-level players will be using this rifle at some point, so I figured it would be good to show how you can get a few small upgrades and a red dot sight onto this rifle at level 1. First, grab yourself the black polymer AK-74 stock from proper level 1 for 2,000 rubles. This stock gives you a few extra % of recoil reduction for a very small price. Next, buy the Ultimac railed gas tube from Skier level 1 and replace the default gas tube and handguard with this thing. You can now put a small red dot sight onto the top rail of your handguard, which is much easier to use than the basic iron sights. For the sight, you have 2 main options at level 1. The PKO6 from Skier for 17,000 rubles, or the Burris Fastfire from Peacekeeper for about 14,000 rubles. Personally, I like the Fastfire when it's mounted up on a handguard, and it's a bit cheaper, so I chose that one for this build. This build is less than 50,000 rubles if everything is purchased from the traders, including the rifle, but it's much less if you loot a Vepr in the raid or use the barter trade from Skier. That's pretty much all you can do with a Vepr from level 1 traders, but if you have level 2 proper and mechanic unlock, you can make another big improvement for very little investment. If you pick up the Spike tactical compensator from mechanic level 2 and the GP25 rubber butt pad from proper level 2, you'll get about 10% extra recoil reduction for about 10,000 rubles total. As a side note, these same setups can be used on any AKMs you pick up as well for about the same results. Next up is another very basic build using an AK-74N that can be built from level 1 traders for use on longer range maps like woods and shoreline, where a magnified optic can give you a real advantage over people who don't have one. You can't buy an AK-74N with rubles from any level 1 traders, but Proper will trade you one for 2 Blackrock chest rigs, which are very common drops from scavs. Make this trade and then purchase the basic AK-74 compensator from Proper for about 500 rubles. This AK-74 is missing a dust cover, which can be purchased from Proper, but you don't technically need it and it just adds a few ergonomics points. Next, buy the 4x PSO scope from Proper for about 19,000 rubles. Slap it onto the dovetail rail and you're basically ready to go. You can only buy one of these per trader reset at level 1, so use it wisely. This setup only costs about 60,000 rubles if everything including the rifle is purchased using cash. If you use a looted AK-74 or take advantage of the barter trade for the chest rigs, it's only about 20,000 rubles for the additional parts. Again, this is a really basic build and has no extra recoil reduction, but it can be improved further with level 2 traders for pretty minimal cost. From Skier level 2, you can buy the B10 handguard, Tango Down foregrip, and DTK1 muzzle brake for about 13,000 rubles total. Then go to Proper level 2 and get the GP25 rubber butt pad, and you have a much more well-rounded rifle for a fairly cheap investment. You can also use the same setup as the Vepr with an Ultimac railed gas tube and small red dot sight, or a Cobra reflex sight if all you're looking to do is get an optic on your weapon. As a free tip, if you find any Vepr Hunter rifles while looting scavs, which is a fairly common drop, you can also add the PSO scope from Proper level 1 to create a fearsome little budget DMR build. The Hunter comes with a dovetail mount by default, so you can use the same PSO scope from the AK-74 build from Proper level 1 on these rifles as well. With the 4x PSO scope, this thing is a monster. It shoots straight at long distances and will basically outperform any other low-level weapons in a shot-for-shot gunfight with another player. If you can get a hold of one of these from a scav or from Skier level 2, grab a 4x scope and a few mags of 7.62 M80 rounds as a low-level player, and you'll be pretty well set up for success. Finally, for the last build in this video, I want to break away from the level 1 traders a bit and take a look at the AKS-74U, one of the most common weapons you'll find out in Tarkov, and also the cheapest fully automatic rifle caliber weapon in the game. Say what you will about this thing not performing well compared to full-sized, endgame worthy meta weapons, it's still a fairly reliable little rifle, and one that new or low-level players will almost certainly be using at some point. Using it with no attachments is sort of hit or miss, literally, because it has blocky iron sights with poor visibility and really high base recoil. With that in mind, here's a fairly cheap build that offers some big improvements to the AK-74U without too much investment using level 2 traders. Once you get a hold of an AKS-74U, head over to Skier Level 2 and purchase the B11 AK handguard for about 5,000 rubles. This adds 3 rails for attachments and gives you a little recoil reduction as well. Next, purchase the DTK1 muzzle brake for 5,000 rubles and the RK1 foregrip for 12,000 rubles, both from Skier Level 2, which will go a long way to helping you control the recoil. Next, grab the GP25 rubber butt pad from Proper Level 2 for 3,500 rubles, attach it to the basic stock, and that's the last of the recoil reduction attachments. To add an optic to this rifle, you have 2 options from Level 2 traders. Mechanic Level 2 sells the B18 mount for about 3,600 rubles, and Skier Level 2 sells the B12 mount for about the same price. The only real difference between these two is where the sight gets mounted on your rifle, so that's kind of up to your preference. For this build, I again went with the Burris Fastfire Reflex sight from Peacekeeper Level 1 for about 14,000 rubles. If you feel fine running with the iron sights, or just want to save some cash, skip this step and you knocked about 17,000 rubles off the price tag. In total, this build costs just over 70,000 rubles if every item is purchased from the traders, and just over 50,000 rubles if you don't use an optic. It also gets my recoil down to just above 70, which I think is pretty manageable, especially for a low-level weapon build. That pretty much wraps it up for these budget weapon builds. I hope you found this video helpful and that it shows there's still a bit of customization you can do even when you only have level 1 traders. That's something I really hope improves with the 0.12 patch, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/jdogthewise, and it would be great to see some more people drop by the stream, so I'll leave a link for that in the description. Thanks for watching the video. As always, feel free to leave any comments, corrections, or suggestions down below, and until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City.